All right, welcome everyone. We're going to call to order the October 14, 2025 meeting of the Lakeville Area School Board. If everyone would rise with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to start by taking roll call, starting with my right.
Amber Cameron.
Brett Nicholson.
Paul Carbone.
I'm Matt Swanson.
Michael Bauman.
Kim Baker. Carly Anderson.
All right, are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? Director Baker.
I have a request to add an addition to the agenda for discussion. I submitted a resolution regarding special education and the recent cuts to the Federal Department of Special Education, and I would like to add that to the agenda for discussion with the board.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, there being a first and a second, any discussion? All right, if there's no discussion, the motion is to add the draft resolution to the agenda for discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is added. Any other additions or amendments to the agenda? All right, if there are none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion by Director Anderson. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And there's a second by Director Carbone and Baker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Let the minutes reflect that Director Thompson is now present. Superintendent Bauman, good news, over to you.
All right, Mr. Chair, thank you. Good news for October 14th. Principal, Assistant Principal, and Dean Appreciation Week is the week of October 13th through the 17th. We want to take this opportunity to recognize and thank these school leaders for their dedication and commitment across our school district. They each play a vital role in guiding our students, our schools, and supporting all of our families and all of our school communities in helping fulfill our district's mission of preparing every student for academic, social, civic, and personal success. Thank you to all of our principals, assistant principals, and deans. We appreciate you.
Mr. Bauman, can I add something in there?
Oh, sure.
Since you're saying thanks to the principals, a special shout out to Lake Marion's Brett Domstrand, because I saw him get covered with a sundae this week, and I thought that was a good laugh for me.
All right. Any others? Okay. Two Lakeville South seniors have been named National Merit semifinalists. Lakeville South High School seniors Danielle Abedi and Alice Yee have been announced as Class of 2026 National Merit semifinalists in the 71st Annual National Merit Scholarship Program. They are among 16,000 semifinalists across the country, and next spring they'll compete for one of 6,870 scholarships totaling nearly $26 million. 4 Lakeville North and 2 Lakeville South seniors were also awarded as National Merit Commended in recognition of their outstanding academic promise. You can read more about some of the amazing things happening in our district at isd194.org/news. That is good news for this evening, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Bauman. We are going to move to public comment. So the board will open up the floor for 30 minutes to allow the public to address the board with comments and concerns. To participate in public comment, individuals must have registered in advance using the form provided on the website by noon on the Monday before the scheduled public comments section. There will be no board response during the session. Public comments framed as complaints and/or concerns about students and/or staff are not appropriate in a public forum due to data privacy laws. These comments should be addressed to the administration outside of the public meeting. Likewise, complaints about school board members should be privately directed to the board chair or the superintendent. If there are any complaints about specific individuals, staff members, or board members, I will ask you to stop and the live feed will be cut. So please try to avoid that. No formal action will be taken on a topic presented during public comment. As necessary, the administration will follow up with the appropriate personnel on any concerns that need to be individually addressed. Also, if necessary, the board will follow up during board communications at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. Individual remarks are limited to 3 minutes, and the board will provide a signal when the participant has 30 seconds remaining on their time. Please try to keep audience noise to a minimum so everyone can hear what is being said. We do have 12 people that are signed up. Like I said, there's 30 minutes and 3 minutes a person, so if there's anyone that wants to forfeit their time, because I understand there's some students that might want to speak, you can definitely do so. So with that, call the first one, Kimberly Sinkler. And then just try to speak into the mic.
Okay. My name's Steve Nolander, reading on behalf of Kim here. Am I going?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Good evening. For those of us that are here to support Coach Kachiver and the Lakeville North Girls Hockey Program.
Can you make sure you speak into
Oops, sorry.
Thank you.
I'd like everyone to stand or at least raise your hand to show who's here for that purpose. All right. Thank you. This group of girls here tonight, and the ones that couldn't be here but signed a piece of paper that they'll deliver to you guys here in a minute once they have a chance to talk, says about all you need to know about this situation, Coach Kachiver and the Lakeville North Girls Hockey Program. There's a lot of players standing united here to show their genuine support of their coach. It's these girls here that want to represent the girls hockey program. These are the players that are excited about the upcoming season, working together to achieve whatever goals they may have. And these girls want to be coached and play under the leadership of Coach Kachiver, who has led the Lakeville girls hockey program for 25 plus seasons. At the end of the day, it's 100% about the student athletes that want to be part of the program for the right reasons. These girls here is where the focus should be, with the season starting October 27th. What this should not be about is a parent's vendetta against a coach stemming from daughter's playing time and or role on the team. Should not be about a select few upset parents and players that aren't even part of the program or don't intend to play hockey for Lakeville North. It's about this group of players. This group of girls have put in the time and effort over the years in this offseason to prepare for their season. These players deserve to not have their season disrupted by a last-minute coaching change, especially since they'll express a multitude of reasons why they want Coach Kachiver as their coach. It's a great group of girls. They bonded well in the offseason. Program culture has been great with no drama. It's truly a group of players working together with Coach Kachiver and his staff to prepare for a season that will be full of great experiences and lifelong memories under the leadership of Coach Kachiver. Please give this group of girls and Coach Kachiver that opportunity this season. I'm beyond proud of these girls for speaking up for what they believe in and are passionate about, standing up to support their coach, maintaining a good attitude, and team and coach chemistry while this process continues to get drawn out is amazing. That's a sign of good character, and these girls will all be successful in their lives because they're good people. They take ownership and accountability for their own actions versus pointing fingers, blaming others, and or playing a victim card. These girls are the type of students that the school district should support and promote in the schools and community. The school district needs to make the right decision and let Coach Kachiver coach. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim Menard. Going once, twice. All right. Mike Pedersen.
Hi, my name is Mike Pedersen. I have the unique situation of having two girls that play Lakeville North girls hockey. One is a senior this year, a captain, was line 2 and a leading scorer last year, was out on all the varsity things. And then the other one was a 7th grader, and she never got to play a single varsity game. Not that she didn't want to. She very much wanted to play with her older sister, but She didn't get the opportunity. I'm proud of her because she didn't complain to anybody about it. And we made a plan to try and work on skills that can help her earn that spot on that team. And that's what this team's culture has been about. And I've been lucky to be a part of the captain's practices this fall. I'm just out there pushing pucks and nets around for Coach Schrick, who has done an incredible job. These girls have gotten better. They're all supportive of each other. There's nobody complaining. They're all working their tails off every single day to try and get themselves better, make their game better, and try and earn the spots on this team that they want to be on. This is the culture that's there right now. This culture will be destroyed if it's the people that complain loudest that actually get their way, and not the people that put in the time and work. The toll has already been taken on these girls. The emotional damage since Friday has been significant. My daughter cried her way home from Blaine all the way to Lakeville after a game, my oldest one. When we got home and told the youngest one, she was so upset she went to bed without dinner and cried herself to sleep. Their heads have been spinning for 4 days. You know, the season has basically started. It's not about to start. It's started. We're a week from tryouts. It's all that's on everybody's mind. They're all getting ready for tryouts, and now they're all dealing with this. I mean, I'm not supposed to be here tonight. I'm supposed to be cooking a good meal for my oldest who's got a tournament starting tomorrow. And instead, we're over here doing this. To remove a coach right before the season starts is ridiculous, unless there is something really egregious. And if there's something really egregious, why wasn't I told about it so I can protect my daughters? Like, what has been going on for 6 months that this hasn't been wrapped up and is being dealt with now? So I think we owe it to these girls to allow the coaching staff that they've come here to support to continue through this season, and this be dealt with on a better timing than when the season's starting. This is a varsity program. It's a serious hockey program. It's a AA program in a big state. It deserves the seriousness that the girls are putting into it from the leadership in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Sinkler.
Thank you, Board, for taking the time to listen to us. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a varsity level coach. Okay, so being a coach, especially at the varsity level, is not an easy job. It means making tough decisions and sometimes telling young athletes who have poured their hearts into their sport that they won't make the team. No one takes joy in doing that. On top of that, coaches face criticism and pressures from parents who may not agree with those decisions. A varsity coach's responsibility is to build a competitive team, to prepare players to perform at a high level, and to win. Not every athlete is ready for that, and that's part of the process. Still, coaches dedicate countless hours and energy to these programs, not for the recognition or the reward, but for the joy of seeing the players grow, succeed, and the love of the game. Coach Kachiver has done that for more than 25 seasons. He has devoted most of his adult life to the Lakeville North girls hockey program, giving his time, his energy, and his heart. Many would have walked away from the challenges that come with coaching, but he continues to come back year after year because he loves this program and believes in these girls behind me. We cannot afford to lose good coaches because of a few unhappy voices. No coach is perfect, and not every decision will please everyone, but that's the nature of competitive sport. As parents, we should be teaching our children that disappointment is part of life, and that how they respond to it is what builds their character. Tonight, I urge you not to fail these girls. The young women who have worked tirelessly for the chance to represent Lakeville North on the ice. They've dreamed of becoming varsity players, of leading their team, of achieving their goals that they've trained so hard for. They stand together tonight in support of Coach Kachiver because they believe in him as not only a leader, but a mentor and a role model. That unity should mean something to all of us. We must also ask ourselves, what kind of message are we sending to the community if we dismiss a coach who the players so clearly respect and want to play for? Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Tom Bogen? B-O-G-E-N? Tom Bogen. We'll move on. Allison Clement. Or Allison Clement. All right. Paula Swartz. S-W-I-R-T-Z, in case I'm pronouncing it wrong. Paula. I'm going to pull from the other side of the stack. Claire Sinkler.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Carly Hansen. I'm proud to be a senior captain for the Lakeville North girls hockey team. I'm here tonight as a player who loves this sport and cares for my team. I'm speaking on behalf of all the Lakeville North hockey girls who are here and everyone who signed an agreement to this statement. These are some of the high school students at North who know and care about Buck and agree that he is our coach. And this is my team behind me. I have been a part of this program for 5 seasons and will be speaking on, Throughout those 5 seasons, I have learned a lot, and one of those things is to stand up for things that matter the most to me. There's been a lot of talk about removing our coach. I'll be honest, it's been hard for everyone to watch this happen and even harder to stay quiet about it. Our voices and opinions need to be heard and considered because we are the ones who see and interact with our coach every single day, and this decision is directly affecting us. This is why I would like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about who our coach is. Our coach pushes us on and off the ice to be a better hockey player and to be the best versions of ourselves. He believes in us even at times when we do not believe in ourselves. Yes, he teaches us how to skate faster or shoot harder, but at the same time, he teaches us life lessons. He holds everyone to a high standard. He expects us to give our best effort, stay disciplined, and work together as a team. More importantly than all of those qualities, he cares and respects our team. During times of setbacks, he reminds us the importance of being a strong leader and believes in us. When we lose, he does not tear our team down. He helps us figure out how to grow. When we win, he reminds us to stay humble, and most importantly, he's built a team culture where everyone feels valued. He is the reason this program feels like a family. If our coach was removed, it won't just be a change in leadership. It'll break the bond that made this team what it is. We've built something special here, something based on trust, hard work, and respect, and we don't want to see that be taken away. Coach Buck shows up for us every single day. He's come to the rink every day and has been coaching for over 30 years. He has been our head coach since the season of 2005 and 2006, and he's been to every single practice. Even in 2011, when he suffered a major injury where he went through many surgeries and overcame things doctors said he couldn't, he did that for his team because he cares a lot about us. The year after the injury and surgeries, Buck led his team to the state tournament. This is one of the examples of his dedication, love, and respect he has for each of his players on his team. We understand that not everyone sees what we see, but if you remove Buck, you are ripping out the heart of this team. Our season starts in 2 weeks.
Seconds.
It is disappointing, upsetting, and frustrating this is happening weeks before our tryouts and our first game in early November. Please consider this team, our voices, and our experiences before you make this final decision. We are asking you keep our team together, keep our coach, and keep the heart of the Panthers alive. It would truly be disappointing and a huge mistake to remove the heart of this team. We are a family, and we are the Panther Bunch. Thank you.
Thank you. Sydney Pedersen.
Come back up, guys.
Ready. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sydney Pedersen, and I'm a proud member and captain of the Lakeville North girls hockey team. I'm here tonight as a player who loves this sport and this team, also someone whose life has been changed by our head coach, Coach Buck. I'd like to start off by saying how devastating it was to receive the news on Friday night that our head coach was being fired. The past few days have been incredibly difficult, emotional, confusing, and frustrating for all of us. I've only been with Lakeville North for one season, but it's forever changed my life. I wouldn't trade this past year for anything, and a huge part of that is because of Coach Buck. In the summer of 2024, I was searching for a high school hockey program that had a strong team culture, great teammates, and most importantly, a reliable, supportive coach. When I met some of the Lakeville North girls at a hockey camp that summer, they told me about their amazing coaches and how the team culture is really strong. So I decided to give it a chance, and I loved how the girls were so welcoming and the environment felt like it could be a home. Coach Buck has built a team that feels like a family, one based on honesty, accountability, and hard work. He pushes us to be better players, but more importantly, better people. His lessons go far beyond hockey. He teaches us discipline, respect, and how to support one another, no matter what's happening on or off the ice. Of all the coaches I've ever had, over the past year, Buck has become my favorite. If Coach Buck is let go, we're not just losing a coach, we're losing a role model, a friend, and the foundation of our program. We've grown so much under his leadership, and the culture he's built is something unique and hard to replicate. Please don't take that away. We're asking you to see what we see every day, the care, the commitment, and the difference he makes in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Bloom?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
All right. First, I want to say I am not here in regards to why 99% of the people are here, but I want to acknowledge the fact that I appreciate when students come before the board and voice their support or beliefs or opinions. When I watch board meetings or attend them and see students on any subject speak, I'm encouraged that they have the courage to speak up. And I just wanted to let them know, myself and others in the community, are behind you, and stay strong and keep your voice heard. So with that, I'll get to why the topic I'm here is District Policy 501, the school weapons policy. Obviously, I think all of you know who I am. I've had some very good conversations with district personnel, including the superintendent and the principal of the school that my kids attend. So the community knows recently a student in the district violated policy 501, which is a school weapons policy. Basically what happened is a classified weapon was brought on the bus and brought into a school. Most people don't know this. And no immediate action was taken, unfortunately. I understood, why from the perception of some people involved. So what I am asking the board to consider, and has already been asked, is a review of the policy, a complete review of the policy, of the minimum consequences. And just so that everyone knows, there was not immediate action taken here for quite a while, and the superintendent did not know of the incident until I informed him of the incident about 11 days later. He understood that was not appropriate and should not have been the case, and I appreciate those dialogue I've had with him, and he encouraged me to open that dialogue with the board and to see what we can get done, because you have to look at it from the perception of the kids. I spoke with my 2 4th graders and a 5th grade friend of theirs. They didn't understand why I had discussions with their principal, because no one got hurt.
30 seconds.
And the student kept on, being able to have the privilege to ride the bus. Again, knowing that they brought a classified weapon, which was some type of knife, onto the bus and into the school. Their perception was no one got hurt, and nothing happened to the child immediately. And that's a tough perception to overcome, because as you guys know, and the district does a great job, they hammer home, be safe, be safe, be safe in the school. And so, thank you. Appreciate it.
Kate Madonna Quast.
Good evening. My name is Kate Madonna Quast, and I'm a mother of a student in this district. And before I speak to my students' safety, I want to begin with something that affects every family here. Earlier this year, the Minnesota Disability Law Center issued a January 30th, 2025 letter finding that Lakeville area schools violated state and federal privacy laws through its use of heart zones, heart rate monitors in gym classes. The district collected children's biometric data, their heart rates, linked it to their names, and even used it for grading without parental consent. The findings cited Minnesota Statute 13.32 and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, concluding that this district acted first and thought about the safety and consent later. That same disregard for consent, safety, and transparency has defined my family's experience for more than 5 years. My son has asked for one simple thing, to feel safe at school, and instead has learned to survive in a system that confuses paperwork with protection. Since 2021, he's been bullied and assaulted. A safety plan was drafted but never enforced, and in 2023, another student put his hands around my son's neck on the playground and strangled him. There was no Title IX report, no mandated follow-up, just silence. Through 2024, he was excluded from a field trip because of his disability and told to ignore harassment, and watched his IEP quickly dissolve. Even when staff admitted they weren't following it, nothing changed. And then came October 2nd, 2025, a soccer practice that ended in trauma. Another student exposed himself and grabbed my son's genitals enough to pierce the skin. When my son turned to his coach for help, she looked at the other child and said, "Did that happen?" And then told him, "I'll try to do something," and walked away. That was my breaking point. A Title IX complaint is now open on his behalf, a step we were forced to take only because the district failed to act on repeated reports of violence. We counted 27. Between October 2nd and 8th, I filed formal complaints and begged for a safety plan. For nearly a week, there were no supportive measures, no investigator name, and no written notice of allegations. And when I copied the school board asking for help, I was told by the Title IX coordinator, "Please do not copy additional staff on your messages, as that slows down the process." But during a fire drill on October 3rd, my son was placed directly beside the student who had sexually assaulted him, and I had no one to back me up. My son has only received supported measures today, October 14th, if you're doing the counting. That is 7 days. I've had 5 acts for a safety plan and nothing to ease his mind. Yesterday, after the investigator finally interviewed us, my son sat on the curb and begged to go home. He said he didn't want to go back inside and didn't want to see anyone. And the Title IX coordinator wrote, "I have been fully responsive to your concerns." What most people don't know is my son holds a 50-year order of protection against someone who was supposed to protect him. He has spent years in therapy learning to trust adults again.
Thank you, Ms. Quast.
I want to leave 2 things with you. I want to leave a copy of the Title IX Supportive Measures Plan, which does not include a safety plan. And I want to leave the Minnesota Disability Law Center's findings.
I'll take those if you want to bring them.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public comment. Thank you, everyone who was willing to speak. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to the consideration of the consent agenda. Any items that anyone wants to remove for discussion? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
There's a motion by Director Baker. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, being a first and a second, all in favor of approval of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It is approved. Down to our discussion section. Mr. Holmgren, we'll start with you. Fiscal year 2025 preliminary budget update.
Good evening, Chair Swanson, members of the school board, Superintendent Bauman. Yes, today we get to talk about actually fiscal 25 now is finished, and we'll have the auditors will be in the next meeting to go through details in last year's finances. So today, though, I want to just kind of give you an overview of 25 and what's happening. First, I just want to look at the enrollment. As you know, enrollment drives all of our revenue in the district. And we saw this little anomaly last year that we didn't quite have an answer to, but we hardly had any increase in our
Chair Swanson, point of information. We're going to be reviewing, the Board of Education is going to continue on with their agenda where we're going to review the preliminary budget updates, board member updates, the superintendent update, and then a recommendation for the board to review and approve board goals. And then after that, we will move to a closed session. And so for those who choose to continue to stay, that's what they will be hearing for the duration of the however many hours this meeting may take. So for those, thank you.
It's very enthralling. You are welcome to stay. It's very exciting, we assure you, but.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You need something to say, Alan. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks worse than it is. Okay. I'm almost 4 weeks into this, so we're getting there. So anyway, as of today, we actually have 12,140 students in our classrooms, and we expect to hit that 12,150 before we get to the end of this year. So we're back on track. We're seeing a 1% increase in our enrollment in the year that we're in. Now, when we talk about audits, one thing I just want to remind everyone: when the auditors come in next week, what they're going to talk about is they're going to study our numbers that we presented to them, and they're going to tell us whether they're true or not true. They don't talk about any type of management of our money. They just tell us that the dollars that we bring forward and report to you in our statements are true and correct. And we will be receiving a non-modified opinion, which is the best opinion, which means they didn't change anything, okay? And then a few other things that you were going to also see. Now, if you remember this past year, we had a audit with the state of Minnesota with our food service department going through, and there was some small findings. I just want to give you one example of talk about how small they were. In the elementary schools, in order for the kids to have easy access to their ID card to go ahead and buy a meal, we bought some lanyards for them all to hang those in. Well, they told us, well, the food service department can't pay for that, so that was the finding. So it was about a $300 expenditure, but since they found it, now the auditors will come through and tell us the same thing. So that's the one material weakness that you see on the top. Otherwise, we have no instances of noncompliance. When we look at uniform guidance, we'll have an unmodified opinion also with no internal control findings, and we have no findings with any legal compliance with the state of Minnesota. So I feel very good about how the audit came out. It's always a big job when we go through the fall. We always tell everybody, the auditors are here, but you know, everybody goes on with their business, and we're there dealing with those guys for about 6 weeks. But we got to the end of it. So now we get to talk about the fun stuff. We get to talk about the actual results of what happened last year with our budgets. Now, the auditors will tell you that if you stay within 2% of your budget, you're doing a very good job. And you can see our revenue there is within 0.08%. We feel very good about that. The expenditures were actually under budget by 2.7%. So very, very close to that threshold we talked about. So when we look forward, we always like to look back, you know, what happened with the years that were past, and how are we comparing this year with what's happened in the past. So you can see our property taxes, 0.2% under. If you remember, though, every year we can levy it's 105%, so 5% extra in case someone doesn't pay their taxes. And this is exactly why. So not all the taxes were collected on a timely basis, so we're short that little bit, but we have enough funds to take care of that. When we look at our local sales and other, you'll see, 24% is a pretty big number, but it's really only two things. We are very pleased to say we have more interest earned this past year than we anticipated. So that's about half of that extra. I shouldn't say extra. I mean, it's money we're going to use for the future. The other thing is our third-party revenue. And we're able to go to the state of Minnesota with some of our special ed students with our nursing needs and so forth, and they reimburse us for that. So that's, again, another area where we receive more funds than we anticipated. Now, the state of Minnesota, you'll see there, we're at 98.1, so 1.9% under. That's really two pieces. First of all, as you remember, the enrollment did not go up at all last year. So it's about $500,000 that we're missing on what we expected in revenue from the state of Minnesota. And the other place is in some special ed. Remember, special ed is based on what we spend. Okay, so yes, we're down with special ed a little bit, but at the same time, we're down with expenditure. So it's not like we're really losing any funds when it comes to special ed. They're matched up. Federal, that's been slowly shrinking over the years, and again, that's a reimbursement program. So if we don't spend the dollars, we don't get the dollars. So we spent a little less in federal, and we are down now to before pandemic, the pandemic timeline, where we now only really get some title dollars, and we get some special ed dollars from the federal government. All the other federal programs are done and gone. That looks huge, 160%, but I'll show you in a second. The dollar is very small. It's a very small piece of our budget. So again, when we look at the actual dollars, you see the state of Minnesota, that's where we're down about 2.6 million. Again, about $500,000 is our enrollment. About $1 million is a change in the special education. The other piece is, remember, we do a summer unemployment now with the state of Minnesota, and again there we spent less than we thought we would. So it's down, but it's because we didn't spend the money. So it's just a washout. And the other piece is some health and safety dollars. Again, we levy health and safety dollars, and then if we don't spend all those health and safety dollars, again we give it back. So there's about $300,000 there. Property tax, again, down that 0.2%. Again, those dollars are coming in arrears. And when we look at down in that other, you see that 60%, that $9,000 is some sales we did and some old equipment that we weren't using. So it's something we didn't plan to do it, but it's only $9,000. It looks like 60%, that's a great big number, but it's $9,000. Move on to the expenditure side. Again here, good news pretty much across the board. We're under budget pretty much in every single category. In the administration area, there are some retirees where we received some money back through through our funding of our OPEB. We received some more dollars to cover that, so the actual expense was down. District support, that's a tiny bit over there. Really, the only thing that is we did have quite a few fees in our attorneys last year, and that's really what's pushing that up over. Our elementary and secondary, there again you're seeing about 3% under budget. That is almost entirely, we had some severance we didn't have to pay. If you remember, and as we pay our TRA over the years, and we do a study every year of how much TRA is out there to pay our teachers that are still working for us, it's really it's a liability for the state of Minnesota, but the state of Minnesota doesn't put that liability on their books. They have us put it on our books. Anyway, we're spending some less money there than we anticipated, so all is good. Otherwise, we just had some savings in our salaries and benefits. In most cases, when we were hiring throughout the year, we were hiring at lower salary amounts than we had budgeted for. So that's all good news. Move on to special, well, we touched on the special ed. Okay, you see they were down about 4%. Community education, that is the community education portion of the summer unemployment. So that's why you see a 0 there 2 years ago, because we didn't have the program wasn't there. So again, that's not really a true savings, that we didn't get the revenue either. When we look at our student support, this is where the curriculum sits, where we're under budget in curriculum. We are under budget in some IT purchases. Mainly that's a timing piece that we didn't pay for those before the end of the school year. They're going to next year's budget. So it looks like a savings, but we will spend those dollars. And we underspent in some staff development. And the nice thing about staff development dollars, they roll over and they save for future years. So that's all good news. Our pupil support area, This is one area where we were over budget, you see there by 2%, and that is the amount that's over is entirely special education transportation. That's another area every year we really don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what students are coming into our district, and who will need transportation, who won't. It's about a $300,000 piece.
Bill, is that area where they cut spending or cut funding at the state level too?
For next year, yeah, we're losing $500,000 in revenue for special ed transportation.
This is last year's budget.
Okay.
Yeah, this is 25.
It's coming.
So we've built it into the 26. So
Okay.
Okay. So you can see here the more exact dollar amounts. But overall, you see that we're under budget by 2.7%. So I feel very good about where we came out this year, and this will relate to the fund balances here in a minute. So here are the fund balances. Now you see where the budget, that's where we expected the fund balances to end up at the end of the year. So you see our non-spendable, really what non-spendable are prepaid, something we've already paid for, what we use in the next year. That's little over 100,000 higher than we anticipated. The assigned dollars, the money that has been set aside, if you remember the change in taxes with the decrease in our enrollment was about $2 million. So that money has been set aside here to take care of that missing piece in fiscal 26. Restricted dollars, you see, are up a little bit. Restricted dollars that have increased as capital. We didn't use all our capital funds this year, so just they sit there and wait for us to use it in the future. Staff development and the capital projects levy. I think what we're seeing there is both in technology and in STEM, some nervousness from the teachers saying, are we going to have this money? Are we not going to have this money? Are we going to renew it? So we spent less money there than we originally planned, carrying it over to use in case we don't pass that levy. So that's why you're seeing that increase by $2 million. The unassigned has increased. I mean, it's not as big a number as we saw last year, but we're very pleased with a higher number there than we anticipated. So overall, I'll just hit all the different funds here. As you see, the overall and general fund is up almost $4 million. Student nutrition, a little lower than we anticipated, but remember, we're working very hard at spending that down to get to that 3-month level that the state of Minnesota wants us to get back to. And I can say with that 3.6, we're right now at 3 months. So we're back to where we need to be, and we don't have to worry about losing any funds in the future there. Community education, this is one area where we saw the fund balance decrease. Talking with Steve Porter, the real main thing that he saw happen this last year, again, they're having much difficulty with staffing. And what's happened is in their before and after school care primarily is they can't get enough staff, and because they can't get enough staff, they can't take on as many kids, so we're not getting as much tuition. And that really is the shortage that they're seeing this past year. Building fund, when we're talking about $11 million at 300, that's, again, timing issues. All the projects came in pretty much right on budget, but some of those invoices showed up before June 30th that we pay in July. So, debt service fund, again, we talked about this. You see an increase there, but talking about the levy, which you'll certify again in December, we'll be giving that money. It goes back to the community. Trust fund, small increase here, but this is all our scholarships set aside for our students that sits in this fund. Now, the internal service fund, of course, is our health and dental fund. This is an area we do have some concern. Seeing what happened this past year, this increased expenditures happened in only 3 months over the summer months. We were right on schedule going through the year, and then in June, July, August, which we see a little higher at that time of year because people are home and they're going to the doctors and taking care of things. So we had much higher claims during that period. When we look at September now, it's back down to what we would expect. We had some credits that have come in a little late. We have a stop loss, so if we get a really high claimant, that money comes back to us. It didn't come back till September. So even though this internal service fund balance has dropped here by $5 million, which we're concerned about, we expect going forward this year to be back online with what we expected. So we're watching that weekly to see if there's any other issues. going forward. So we'll keep you abreast to that too as we get down a couple more months, whether that's coming back up.
Were there any large claims that affected that? I mean, specifically, or was it just?
Well, I can't talk specifically about any certain person who, but what happens, we up to the stop loss, we pay all the claims till we get to the stop loss, then it pops over, well, and then we get the credit afterwards.
So we hit
So it's a
stop loss.
timing piece, you know.
Yeah.
Thompson.
Yeah, again, just to make sure I understand this, we were budgeted $7.3 million after all the claims that we'd paid out throughout the course of the school year, because again, we're self-funded, we only have 1.6 million in the account. And generally, we were targeting roughly $8 to $9 million to put us in a kind of a safe cushion.
Yep.
And if we would not have had the $7.3 million, we would have had to take roughly $5.7 million out of our general fund. Is that how I would interpret that?
You are correct.
To pay for the self-funded health insurance program that we have, because of the claims costs came in higher than what we were projecting. So I think the part that I want to just make sure that I'm assuming, my hope is that you've got controls in place where like this should not have been an alarm. We should have known this 9 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, because I'm assuming claims don't just show up at the end of the plan year, because they just show up periodically, correct?
Yeah, like I said, like I just said though, it was the last 3 months of the year. It wasn't earlier in the year. We didn't see any type of an anomaly, anything extra.
For the last 3 months,
Yeah.
there was a big claims expense that came out to be $5 million or more. That really pretty much decimated our budget in this, from what I'm seeing. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is the graph that I showed you a year ago. We're expecting our unassigned fund balance to push up to 6.3%. And in reality, we are, it's not up a huge amount, but we are up to 6.9. So I feel good about that we are better than we anticipated, and we continue to have that fund balance climb. And of course, we are shooting for that 10% number. Okay, is there any questions?
Director Thompson.
Yeah, I just have one more of an observation. I think on slide 18, you were showing the general fund balance. And again, this is something that I think I've been very keenly aware of since the past 2.5, 3 years. Again, the unassigned fund balance, the 13.6 million of what we have in actual. So that's great that we were able to save an extra 700 and gets us closer to kind of our projected fund balance target, which is roughly $15 to $20 million is where we would want it to be. But I'm glad to see the restricted go up a couple $1 million. And can you provide the public as well as myself, like, restricted means that we can only spend it in those respective categories. And then ideally, we'd only want to spend the $8.3 million if we need it on one-time expenditures, not recurring expenditures. And so, for example, how I'm interpreting is that there must be some sort of, maybe I'm making this up, like a curriculum budget or something. That would be considered maybe restrictive, where the dollars set aside for curriculum could only be spent on curriculum, and that could be drawn from the 8.3. Correct?
Well, curriculum is not a restricted area. It comes out of the general fund.
Oh, it does.
But
Okay.
the restricted areas, like I mentioned earlier, are capital dollars, which we use for equipment needs. We need vehicles for our custodian staff. Those type of big purchases, or we have to add on to a room. We're going to change some walls, doors, whatever. That's those capital funds.
Does that include furniture too, or
It also includes furniture.
Yep.
So all our furniture that we have been able to buy comes out of the capital fund. Staff development is a restricted area. So any staff development we haven't spent, that rolls in here too. And then the capital projects levy, like I mentioned earlier, that's got a relatively good fund balance. And we didn't spend a lot of it this past year, just waiting to see what happens in 3 weeks.
When does the final come out?
We will have the auditors actually here on site to give you a report in 2 weeks.
Okay.
The actual final would be the 2 weeks after that, where we ask. So they'll give a presentation, go through their numbers, and then you'll approve it 2 weeks after that.
Sounds good. Oh, Director Anderson.
Totally. I don't know if this is an appropriate question or not, but In the past, I think we've used the staff development dollars to cover subs and things like that. Is that correct?
We use staff development dollars for subs if they're subbing for teachers that are on staff development. You know,
Oh.
they're gone out of the building, they're
Right.
gone to some type of training, them, yes, those subs are paid with staff development dollars.
I'm just trying to think about how we can encourage our staff to actually take care of themselves throughout the year rather than just in the summertime when they're off. That's just if all of this is coming kind of unexpectedly in these summer months, I just
But I don't think they have time off. I mean, if they're going to teach, like, when do they have time to take time off? And so, I mean, the time when they have to go get care might
they would
be
have to have subs.
subs in summertime. And so, I mean, I get it. I could make an assumption on why, but that might be for another topic.
I was just asking if there could be some creative use of those funds, but it sounds like it has to be for professional development.
Yeah, it has to be for staff development, yeah, itself.
And might I add that, like, it's almost more work for a teacher to make plans for a sub than it is to take time off and be sick. So that's probably why sick time doesn't get used as much as it should during the year.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's hop over to the Director Baker's draft resolution, if you want to introduce and chat about it.
So this is a resolution that I wanted to bring before the board. I take my role as an advocate for special education pretty seriously, and I understand that there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about special education funding, things that are going on in the state and federal government. So given the recent news with the Federal Department of Special Education and the cuts that that department experienced on Friday, I drafted a resolution asking our federal government, and then also there were some issues in there with the state, particularly with cutting the special education transportation costs, to consider bringing back those supports. It's hard for me to try to figure out how to explain some of this to people, so it might be just best to open the board up for discussion on this, and I will be more than willing to share the information that that I know on this particular topic and why this series of, I don't want to say layoffs within the department because that's really not what it was, is different than that's happened in years past with government shutdowns. And I'm more than happy to go through that, not only for the clarity of the board, but for the clarity of the public in knowing how to advocate to support our district. Shoot.
Director Nicholson?
Didn't we talk last meeting about sending something to the state over how they budget and that kind of stuff, asking them to think about us and maybe consider not passing resolutions in the year in which we have to now figure out how to deal with them? And did you not say that that would be worthless? I mean, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do this, but I'm asking the question, is anybody going to read it? Are we going to, like, is this different? Is there a better way to do it? Or
I would
I'm
like
just
to say it
asking.
is, for the reason that, I mean, that's the same resolution that we pass every year, asking them to actually fund special education services. Since 1975, the government is supposed to provide, federal government, 40% of the funding for special education. They notoriously have always offered around 7 to 12%. I think right now we're sitting at 13% on what the federal government is funding. So that's never happened. So I'm going off since 1975, and today, well, actually this year is the 50th anniversary of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So the federal government in 50 years has never funded special education. What we're experiencing now is not just a lack of funding for the program, but it's actually been decimated. In fact, I can give you the numbers of the staff that are actually left in the department. I don't even know how it's running at this point. In fact, it's really not. So.
And I completely understand, and I don't disagree or don't think it's not warranted. I guess
Right.
my question.
So I guess I didn't answer.
My question is can we? Like,
Yeah.
Is there a way to be bigger part of a voice? Can we partner with other districts? Can we make this like a
Absolutely.
joint petition? Can we
I would love to.
would the state of Minnesota get on board and say, as a state, we need this funding, and can we get every school district in the country, state of Minnesota to maybe jump on board and agree?
Yeah, I would say it's a starting point to advocate, and I'm more than willing to share some letter drafts that I've already written to representatives within the state and the federal level within the state of Minnesota. I think the issue that I'm kind of struggling with right now as not only a special education parent, but a special education teacher and administrator is that I'm not hearing anything from anyone. Right? And the silence is, as I've said on social media, deafening. Where is the outrage that this has happened? Where is the support for special education? And this is not a Republican or a Democratic issue. This is a human issue. And I'm just looking for anything that we can do to start the conversation so that people are made aware of the situation and how to respond.
Director Cameron.
Director Baker, I appreciate you drafting this. I have to be honest, I haven't had the chance to fully read it just with my workday today, but I would like to and to consider it fully. And so I'm wondering, where I'm at is I just need I think a couple of days or maybe next if this came to a future meeting.
We're not voting on it, just so you know. There's no vote. It's just for discussion right now. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
No vote right now, just discussion.
Well, to that point, I appreciate you talking about why you drafted it, and I think I will need time to read it fully.
Sure, because I know one of the questions that you had asked me was, what are the implications of this? And I'm more than happy to share some of those. For background and history, the Department of Education at the federal level is the smallest department. Recently, I want to say the first round of layoffs or firings that happened in this department took 50% of the staff out. With this most recent one that occurred on Friday, we lost 95% of the staff. There are 20 people left in the Office of Special Education in the Elementary Secondary Education Department to oversee a $44 million budget. I want to be clear that the funding is there, and the federal government works on a fiscal year that's different than the school district. So the federal government, their fiscal year starts on October 1st. That's why it's so important for them to finalize the budget on September 30th. Those things are still going out. Funds are still going out. The thing that is different with special education is that I know a lot of people say, oh, it's going to the states and they're taking care of it. Do you know why the law was written in 1975? Is because the states were not providing special education. And today, 43 out of 50 states have compliance issues with IDEA. So the fact that we have less people in the Department of Education right now than it takes to run a Target store, those are the people that we have for the entire United States to make sure that the law, the federal law, is actually followed for special education students. This shutdown is different. In years past, when we've had a government shutdown, those employees are furloughed. That means that as soon as the shutdown is complete, then those employees get their jobs back. This was not done that way. They were given an RFI. So that means at the end of the 60 days that they're having notice of that they lose their jobs. So then again, does it switch to a different department, right? Okay, so we can have that conversation, and I'm more than happy to have that. There's something in special education that we call the cliff that happens at age 21. The reason parents call that a cliff is because that's the age when the Department of Human and Health Services takes over services for individuals with disabilities. We call it falling off a cliff because it's non-existent. Those services do not happen after age 21. We do a wonderful job in education making sure that people have those services up until age 21, and then they literally fall off a cliff. And I know that because my son has fallen off that cliff right now. We've been sitting on a waiting list for 2 years to receive services for vocational rehabilitation, which again, that is another office that received cuts. There's one employee left in that office, one, for the entire United States. And then when I look at the fact that, okay, so the Department of Education, we don't have people to enforce the law or to enforce IDEA. That's okay, because we have the Department of Civil Rights. There are 13 offices for the Department of Civil Rights in the United States of America. 7 of those offices have already been closed. So there are that many offices left to oversee laws, 6 for the entire United States. So again, there's nothing there. There's a legal obligation to implement a federal law, regardless of whether the federal government shuts down. These employees are essential employees to make sure that this law is violated or that is followed and that there are no violations. Currently, there are no investigations happening in the United States of America for violations on IDEA. That should concern every single person, especially when 43 out of 50 states have violations for following IDEA. I want to say as a special education parent that we learn right away from the first time your child is diagnosed that you need to fight for services. You need to fight to get diagnoses, for waiting lists, for medical evaluations. And I want to say that I 100% support Lakeville Schools and ran for school board because of the wonderful relationship that I've had with this district and being able to sit at the table and actually have a discussion on what I can do for my child. And we were partners in the process. But I've also sat as a parent liaison in this district with parents that didn't have as great of a process as me, held their hand, gave them a shoulder to cry on, worked with teachers to try to make sure that those supports were provided to students. Not every district or parent has those opportunities, and what I see here is something that's a tragedy.
Director Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Director Baker, for your thoughts and advocacy, and I appreciate you developing this. I think I'm just wondering how we might, in the next, before our next meeting, how we can work to kind of gauge other districts' interests in that. So I guess I just want to volunteer myself to help you if I can, in terms of just how we can collaborate with other districts.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to send this draft resolution out. I would really appreciate other board members to take a look at it, read through it, make any changes. Like I said, this was just me kind of rambling in my state of devastation on what happened to this department to make sure that that we're doing the things that we need to do. And when I think about resolutions, like we're writing those to try to support the work of our district. This is a little bit bigger than our district. This involves something that goes a little bit farther beyond our district borders because it does involve a federal department. So I would appreciate the support of other entities within the state to say that, okay, so no one else is saying anything. That doesn't mean in the state of Minnesota that we agree with this.
Director Baker, can I ask you some questions just about it? So the first whereas clause, it's essentially saying that we're going to follow the law, right?
Yep.
Which I assume we already do, hopefully.
Yes, but I think it needs to be stated when we don't have any supports to help us follow that law.
And then I guess that was a question, and maybe you would know, or Ms. Director Humphrey would know, what are the, and we're looking down to the third paragraph, second whereas clause, you're talking about diminished federal support. Do their agents actually interact with our schools and provide services that we would need?
Yes, they provide technical support. We also get support with answering questions. Anytime we come on an issue that we don't know, there's a lot of gray areas in special education, so there's a lot of collaboration that needs to happen for some of these things. Also, like with the grants, the people that write those grants are not employed right now, so they have to know how to apply the monies to those grants. You can't just willy-nilly give people money for grants. So I don't know how some of those grants are going to be funded, and when I've asked questions about that, I have not received answers on that. So that is the one area of funding that I'm the most concerned about, is the grants that we have supporting some of our programs.
And I know that the funds are appropriated by Congress, and the DOE is the one that will administer them and send them out. Are they not giving us the money that we're supposed to be getting? Is that an issue right now, or is it just a lack of staffing is your concern?
A lack of staffing, but I want to say the October 1st funds that went out did go out to states. That is for sure, that did happen. As far as based on some of the individual programs where there's no longer employees within those offices specific to grants, that's where the questions lie.
Okay. And then
as far as funding goes.
I just had a general question for our board too. And just generally speaking, I advocate for state support, paragraph 3. I'm all about that. If we can do some advocacy at the state level, where I think it might have some impact. I don't know if telling the federal government that, hey, you should go and hire back more employees is going to do any good. But just as a board, I mean, is this the kind of thing we want to be doing? You know, bringing resolutions on a multitude of issues. I know we talked about it a couple weeks back when we were trying to encourage the state to better align our deadline for approving our budget with their budgeting. And I know that was, yeah, we did not move forward with that one. So I'm just wondering what you know, as a board, what we're going to do here. I mean, is this something where anyone's going to bring a resolution forward, or do we want to have some parameters on this? Director Thompson.
So this resolution was brought to the table just for discussion, and so.
Correct.
I have no issues with discussing it, and so thank you for bringing this up. You know, the resolution calls for us to express support for special education obligations. The Board of Education of Lakeville area schools calls on the federal government to act. We advocate for the state support, request partnership and collaboration, and then for our district to communicate and advocate, where we would forward the resolution to our Minnesota U.S. State Senators about this, include in district communications, as well as engage in local parent groups, community organizations, and advocacy groups to raise awareness. And so I want to be cautious around how much time and where we want to deploy district resources and something that may or may not be within our control. And so I do know that the federal government is shut down, and maybe the best course would be to ask our elected official in our congressional district, and I believe that is Senator Angie Craig, to say, can you help get the government back on track? I mean, you did? Yeah. And so as board members, I think if we share a similar activity and send out communications, like that's why we have a senator, and that's their role, is to get the government back and open. So, but in regards to our district and our resources and our capacity, is this where we want to allocate dollars and time? So those are a few things for consideration.
Be aware that the special education population is about 16% in Lakeville. So if we don't have resources or dollars to support those students, it would be a significant impact to our budget.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Director Nicholson, then Director Carbone.
Yeah, good, Brett.
Are we missing any funding yet since the government shut down, that kind of thing? Are we concerned about that piece of it yet?
Looks like a
I
no
understand
from Ms.
the
Humphries.
other side of it, but, I mean, is there
Bill.
anything that we think we're not going to get over the next quarter?
So we're in the way that special education is funded in the state of Minnesota is that the district pays for everything first.
Yep.
And then we're reimbursed by the state. So it's all on us right now. And we won't find out until July, when we actually get our money from the state, if we're going to get that that full reimbursement of that, based on if the federal government pays the state. Now, granted, like I said, the first funds went out on October 1st. That did happen. The longer the shutdown goes on and the longer we go without employees within the actual office to distribute the funds, that's questionable.
Director Carbone.
Yes, Director Baker, this is a noble cause. It really is. Nobody knows this, first time I'm saying it, but I have special needs in my family also, and I understand the aspect of what you're talking about. That being said, to me it boils down to impact. If we can't get leverage and impact with this cause you're trying to bring forward, I'm not sure what the value is. I like something that Director Thompson said in regards to moving it through the political process, because I think really, this really does, in my mind, go through the political process more than a non-political board, if you will. And, maybe that's the direction to take or the approach to take as opposed to coming through the board with it. Because I'm not quite sure the federal government is going to listen to us. And if we have any capability of having any influence, it would be with the state of Minnesota. But I just don't see us impacting the federal government whatsoever.
I understand your thought process there, but I also look at it as that what is our purpose as a board? It's to develop policy and to our conversation should always be about what is best for our students. And if I ask the question, is this what's best for our students? The answer is no. And then I also come back to, as a special ed parent, I sat here and had a whole room full of people about a hockey team, but I haven't heard anything from anybody about this. This is our most vulnerable population. These are students that don't have a voice, and some of them, the only voice they have is the voice that we give them. So I guess when I think about my integrity as a person, it's when you see something that's not right, you stand up and you say, this is not right. And I'm just looking for people to stand up and say, with me, this is not right. And I get it that it's political, but if the tables are reversed and special ed was funded and we lost funding for general ed, would we be having this conversation?
Director Anderson.
Yeah, I do think sometimes there's a question of what's most powerful in terms of individual versus group voice. And I guess what I would say here is there have been plenty of times that I have emailed my local officials and personally as myself and as a school board member and not heard back. And so this is where if we as a board make a statement, it is going to be far more impactful. And if many boards get on a resolution, that will be more impactful at the state level. And if Minnesota is a leader in education and this makes national news, that can impact other states to do the same. And that's where it has impact at the federal level. So, I think there's opportunity here to use the weight of the board as opposed to the weight of our individual voices, which at times is not very heavy. So.
Director Cameron.
I agree with that sentiment, Director Anderson, and maybe Chair Swanson, to your point earlier, should we engage in these types of activities or not? I think the resolution that was discussed, forgive whatever meeting that was at, I forget what meeting, but I think there were merits to it. It was just some of the language I remember I said I support it if we strike this section. And so, I do think that we can, as one voice, provide leverage to either MSBA or to the state on certain things, or even federal. And so I'm open to us as a board, if we agree on a resolution or whatever the document is called, advancing it to the appropriate governance board. So, especially if it affects the students in our district, which I think Chair Swanson, what you brought did, I think this does. So I'm open to that. But I do think it'd be much stronger if there were other districts interested in going forward with a revised draft of this and or the other resolution.
Okay. Maybe in the near future you can explore that and then work on a revised draft or come back if we want to talk about what the board would approve if we're going to move forward with something like this and work on amendments to it before.
Can I ask that
There's a
we
vote.
set a date so that it does come back?
Well, how long is it going to take for individuals to go contact other school boards to talk about it?
We only meet twice a month, so.
Probably do some work in the interim and bring it back to the next meeting. I don't know if I feel like this is more like work session discussion around how we might want to edit it. So if there's an upcoming work session, that we can devote some time to it.
Yeah, let's shoot for 30 days.
I don't
All right.
feel like that's acceptable. I mean, I'm sitting here as a parent and I don't know whether my kid has services. I mean, he has voc rehab services. He's a student in this district. Our voc rehab services were already cut once this year, so now we have no support at all. The only way we can get support is if I apply for MA for him and we go through the whole process. I've applied for MA. We've been on a waiting list to get the needs assessment, to even see if he qualifies, and that's just so he can get employment, just so he has support, supported employment, because he has interviewed and interviewed and interviewed for jobs within this community, and he's not been able to get that. And why has he not been able to get that? Because we send our TESA students to 917 for those services, and so they're in communities that are other than Lakeville, which I love the business community and the fact that we have those connections in Lakeville, but we send our students to Rosemount for those services. So he has no direct involvement with any of the employment opportunities within this community. So he has had literally 0 interviews. Every interview he gets, they deny him. We had an interview once. He got all the way through the process. They were ready to hire him. He gets a survey that says, have you received vocational rehabilitation services? He had to check yes. And then all of a sudden the job was done. We're not going to hire you, but they wouldn't tell us why. Okay, that's discrimination that's happening within our community. These are supports that help people be productive members of society. Like, do you want kids working or do you want them on Social Security disability? I, for one, want my son working. And so, like, another 30 days to wait when I've been on the waiting list for 2 years, just so that we can email people in our spare time, 30 days isn't enough.
We have our audit report, as Mr. Holmgren said, coming back here. Auditors in 2 weeks. We don't have a meeting scheduled for next week. So again, without knowing exactly what our agenda is going to be in 2 weeks, and whether or not we'll have time to, again, set some time to, I'm assuming I have some proposed edits I'd want to do. Maybe others would as well. So, Director Cameron.
I'm wondering, I hear what you're saying, Director Baker, and obviously I empathize with challenges related to the bureaucracy that we live in. That being said, I'm wondering if we could ask the superintendent and executive cabinet that I recognize that there's probably things beyond what's happening at the federal level in the last week that needs to be improved. So don't get me wrong. I know everything's not great to start with, but if services or programs need to change as a requirement or are forced to change because of what's happening at the federal level and or state in our district, could we be alerted to that? And if not, my assumption is like we will continue our services like we always have, but if that needs to change, I would appreciate a heads up, and maybe that I think I want to ensure that, yes, there's changes getting made in the government. Lakeville 194 at this moment is operating as if nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
But if services need to change in our district, I would like to know. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Your request?
Okay.
All right.
I think my request was just to have it at the next meeting instead of 30 days from now.
For discussion and vote?
Yes.
All right. We'll consider it. Thank you. Any board member reports?
I have several, but I'll let him go first. You want me to go ahead? Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with, I was invited to a meet and greet for the special education programs at Christina Huddleston a couple weeks ago. This is for their Setting 3 programs. They had the fire department there so that kids could look at the fire trucks. There was root beer floats for all of the kids. That was really cool. And I was invited by Gina Meyerhofer, just to give a thank you to inviting a board member to that. One of the things I want to offer some kudos to this team at Christina Huddleston was that the way that that was set up, like they brought their family members and they brought their siblings to that event, and they were able to go through the building and like show off their classrooms. Now, granted, like during a regular event where the building is open, they would have the same opportunity, but it is also very difficult for students with disabilities to do that in a loud and crowded environment. So I thought that this was a great way to let the students be leaders, let the students like show their family and their siblings like their program, and they were so proud of it, like showing off their rooms and all of the different things. And then just also, I really appreciated that there were other administrators within the district that attended that event. So for example, I saw a principal from Lakeville North, Kim Booty, at that event. I love to see other building principals showing up to support administrators and their buildings. So I thought that was a really great event. So that was one event that I attended. I also responded to the invitation from a Cherry View teacher, and I went to observe Mrs. Spanovich's third grade class for a morning. That was really cool. I got to see some math and interact with the students a little bit and talk to some teachers and staff within the building. It was really nice to be in the building and see some of the things that are going on within our classrooms. So again, thank you again to reaching out to the board and inviting a school board member into the classroom. Finally, sorry I said I had a lot. On October 8th, the board public engagement committee met. That's Carly, Director Anderson, and I. And we have some events set up for the board and some things that we are working on for more opportunities for the board to engage in the public. So our first event that we set up is November 13th at 6:30 at Lakeville South in the lecture hall. We will be meeting with the Family Connection Special Education PTO. They have some information that they want to share with the board, and then we'll have some open dialogue with the parents of that PTO to talk about the different things that they've experience with special education within the community. Director Anderson and I had also talked about some different areas that within our school district that board members may need to see. So one of the things that I reached out to Superintendent Bauman this week was setting up some walking tours for school board members within some of our buildings. We asked to specifically see the buildings that are over capacity right now, given that board members need to start thinking about boundary adjustments and what that looks like within our buildings. So Superintendent Bauman is working on getting those set up. We're hoping to have at least 2 options for board members on those days, like a morning and an afternoon time, to kind of help, number 1, with like your work schedule, but number 2, with thinking about quorum and making sure that there aren't more than 3 members there at a time. So we're scheduling those walkabouts. And then, Director Anderson, you were working on following up with some student groups, correct?
I emailed our principals, and so I think there's some additional discussion about how we might, given our student groups often meet before and after school, might be the optimal way to engage them. And also, I think probably input from the board would be needed in terms of what is the outcome of doing such a gathering. So let's say they give us feedback. What are we going to do with that feedback, and making sure that it has utility?
Right. That would be like for a future working session topic.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Some other things that we talked about were representation at chamber events. The next one coming up for the chamber, and just so you know, like the public engagement committee will try to let you know on these events coming up, would be October 22nd with the State of the Schools. And obviously there's access and issues every monthly Friday morning at 8 a.m., which is an online one that board members can attend to. Just making sure that we are scheduling things, and again, like anything that the public engagement committee schedules, you're not required to attend. But it is an opportunity for board members to interact with different aspects of the public and our student population. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Our next meeting is October 29th at 6.
Director Nicholson.
Also had an opportunity to visit Mrs. Spanovich's class. It was fun. We had a good chat and got to do some math facts, so that was a blast. Appreciate the invite. Paul came with me today. The other one that I had a chance to go sit in was the literacy standards review, and that was a very interesting situation. I was very impressed with the way it was facilitated. I thought the group had some strong opinions. They seemed to come together well, and from my perspective, they made pretty good progress in terms of aligning North and South from a literacy perspective, moving in the right direction, talking about common assessments and the way that we can all kind of move forward with some of the directives that they've been given. So I was happily pleased with that scenario. So good job to teaching and learning.
Director Anderson?
Yes, Teaching and Learning Advisory Committee also met for the first time this year, and that was, I would say the majority of it was Mr. Bauman presenting on the levy, so that was fun to see the presentation. He's doing a great job advocating for the levy, or I shouldn't say advocating, notifying people of the levy. Correction there, sorry. And then otherwise just kind of get to know each other moments, and that was good. And then I also wanted to just thank our staff who put together the digital citizenship and safety, social media safety. I can't remember the exact title of the topic, but this was a presentation that was done a couple years ago, and I attended it. I was really happy to see it come back. So Stephen McDonald came from, he is actually in Canada, but came to do some education. He's from Safer Schools Together, and this event was organized by Holly Ryan and Karen Kuhn, and that was under the leadership of Michelle Humphrey, so thank you to all. Other panelists on the discussion were Todd Williams and Brad Wubin from the Lakeville Police Department. Our SROs, Mariah Kellington and Drew Lindberg, and then we had some principal representation as well, CMS Principal Jason Baki and North Principal Kim Booty. And so great attendance by our administration. Unfortunately, not huge attendance by the public, so that was sad to see. And I think such important content in terms of how to keep our kids safe in this day and age and what parents can be doing. And so I guess my follow-up to our administration was, how can we get this information out to parents in a way, you know, parents are busy, it's hard to attend, and how do we get this information out?
Did we get that on video, and can we send it out in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, we've had a couple of conversations about, because I was there, I agree 100%. I think my comments were, I wish we could fill the whole auditorium, but maybe we need to bring the mountain to the people, and the mechanism to do that. One of the things is, if you give them the whole video of the presentation, this is very long. So we're thinking about doing short, like training type videos, and trying to figure out how do we package that, and then something like that, because we think that it'll be more digestible, and also people will be more inclined to actually consume the information. So we are trying to figure that out. But I also think we should offer another opportunity for a big group, but try to do more to market it, I guess would be my word. But so we have had some internal conversation about that. We haven't figured out a full-on solution yet.
I forgot to thank Grace Olson. Obviously, she was there and very much involved as well. And she has managed to figure out how to take a video of me and Matt and break it into about 15 different embarrassing segments. So I'm confident that they can figure out a way to do some small snippets. That I do think those are things that, if you can make the shorter videos, people are going to be drawn to that in parents' own tendencies to scroll and click on things, and that's probably going to get some attention. But I think with how busy parents are, just asking them to come on a weeknight is tough. So
are you suggesting a Saturday?
No, I think the idea for the video segments nowadays.
Yeah.
Like the thing we're actually advocating for, in terms of everybody putting their phones down a little bit, is that might be actually the way to reach the people. So.
Since they're not putting their phones down. might
Right,
as well use it.
because
Yeah.
nobody is, so. yeah.
Director Cameron.
Last night, I got to attend the Culver's Night for Oak Hills Elementary. And I just want to, I know I mentioned this before when I've attended a different one, but thank you to Culver's for letting the restaurant get taken over by elementary students and families multiple nights per week. And then, of course, supporting our schools through that. But also to, last night it was the kindergarten teachers at Oak Hills. But I know the teachers rotate and they're volunteering their time to be there to support our schools. And I think that is well above and beyond what they need to be doing. And so if you see a teacher at a Culver's, they're definitely volunteering. And so extra thanks to them for creating a good school culture and supporting our elementaries.
Director Carbone.
Yeah, thank you, Director. A few Fridays ago, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Gala with some of the other board members here, and I had the opportunity to speak with some seniors from South High School. And it was interesting because they were getting into a conversation in regards to what do I do when I graduate? What are the steps to take to find a job? So anyway, long story short, it was an interesting conversation with a number of them. The other thing, this morning I was also, as Director Nicholson mentioned, we were in Mrs. Spanovich's third grade class at Cherryview and had a good session in understanding the types of things that go on in the grassroots, if you will. And all day echoing in my head is, when dividing, always start with the largest number. I can't get that out of my head. That was one of the lessons today, so.
All right, any more? Superintendent Bauman.
Yeah, thank you. Just one report item I want to make sure I address. We're about 3 weeks away from Election Day on November 4th with our capital projects renewal. And if capital projects levy is renewed, there will be no tax increase, and I just want to emphasize that point. Last night, I hosted the second of two community meetings that we've conducted here at Lakeville area schools to share the detailed information about how this levy's been used, what the return on investment is, and will be used in the future to maintain our educational technology, security technology, cybersecurity capacity. And anyone who missed these meetings, you can watch a recorded version of a meeting on our website. If you go to isd194.org/levy-presentation. I think just the bottom line is anyone who lives in the district, you can vote early here at the district from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. And we also have voting at the district office on Saturday, November 1st from 9 to 3. Election Day is November 4th, and all of our normal designated polling locations are open. And if you go to isd194.org/voting-info, you can pinpoint where that is for you. And again, we can find any other information, frequently asked questions, also on our website at isd194.org/levy-renewal. So hopefully everybody for or against will get out there and vote their conscience, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Change your mind, Director Thompson.
No, I have a question for you. I did receive an email yesterday, and I didn't have the answer off the top of my head. If the levy does not pass, there is it's about $4 million. What is the savings for the property owner?
I think the median
if they
income
didn't-
home savings is $147 on the year. Is that correct, Bill?
Okay, but $147 a year.
Annually, on a
Annually.
median income,
Okay.
on a median home
On median
value.
home of,
And-
like,
But we have to cut the $4 million out of our FY 26-27 budget.
Oh, great, but taxpayer savings would be $14, like $13 a month for an average size home of 455, something like that. Okay, thank you.
Just to add to that, It's just so the consequence of that is $4 million cut from our budget. And remembering 2 years ago when we sat here and cut 7 million, just trying to find things, and all of the things that we lost from that $7 million cut, we haven't been able to fully bring those back yet. So just want to keep that on the forefront of that conversation too.
It's significant. All right, moving on to recommended actions, review and approval of proposed goals for the district. What we're looking at here is just approving what the goals are. I understand there's some questions about formatting. We can clean that up later, but specifically looking to approve the recommended goals set by the district for spring of 2026. Superintendent Bauman, I'll let you take it away.
Well, I have nothing to add other than I would like your support. And again, I would emphasize that if there's a formatting modification, we're obviously open-minded to that.
I did have one question on the MCA goals. I see we're essentially bumping up a lot of these, just 2% for the spring. Does this align with the ESSA goal that the district had already set?
I'll ask Tracy Brovold, are you here? Yep, if you want to share on that matter.
We are bumping it up 2%. Each of our individual schools have their approximate goals set for how much they have to bump it up to get to 85% by 2030. And so we moved as a district up that 2% to make sure that we're on track to try to get there as well.
Okay, so it is in alignment with the ESSA goals?
Yes.
Okay. Director Cameron?
One question on the MCA, and sorry, I didn't realize this before today. Could we also add science? I'm happy to approve this tonight, but
Sure.
Can we get science?
We
on the
didn't
mission?
have that because we didn't have those results back
Okay,
yet.
perfect.
So we will add that.
Director Carbone?
Yep, Tracy, are there any, if any, changes to curriculum to help accomplish this? I mean, and I know that's a very universal question, but just, have you modified some things in the curriculum that needed to be modified for this?
Yes, so we are working through that at our secondary level. We are putting our systems in place. Our teachers are going through the standards-based review so that they are aligning their curriculum, their curriculum to the standards.
Okay.
We're also looking at purchasing resources that are aligned to the standards as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Director Anderson?
Wondering, so I know last meeting I brought up something that had been approved, I believe, at the meeting before in terms of the list of things that Director Cameron had. One of the things that isn't on here is the FastBridge data around social, emotional, behavioral indicators. So that is missing from the student engagement, and I'm just wondering if we can add that in, as we previously discussed. And I actually, Tracy, if you
Yes.
know, I'm curious, because I have seen my kids' scores in that, and I'm wondering, how is that actually determined on the FastBridge? Is it just questions about how, I'm just curious.
I am not as familiar with that as the academic side of it.
Okay.
Anybody over there? Emily, Michelle, are you aware?
How do you measure?
I would have to take a look at the questions again.
Okay.
It's just a series of questions, and then our counselors take a look at the scores to see which students would benefit from the interventions. But my perspective is, yes, that we could add savers to that district metrics.
Have we seen, I don't know if we've even seen a baseline for that, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Have we seen one? Is that
Yeah,
what
I mean,
you
it'd be
said?
interesting to see what it's been over the past,
Yes.
4
it
or
would
5
be
years.
interesting. Set on the metrics.
I thought it was on that, sorry, that was on that one thing that was presented to us, student daily experience.
I'm not sure if it was FastBridge, though. So I will, I think staff will add that, and we'll get the baseline. I'll send you an update in Friday notes, so you have that visible.
Director Cameron and then Director Carbone.
To piggyback off Director Carbone, happy to approve these and obviously like to see that there's goals for growth in all the areas. I think as a board member, what my hope and expectation is then is that in order to help achieve these numbers, if we need to reallocate resources and or find new resources to support intervention in particular, I want to learn that and I want to support that. And so this is not just your all's work, right? This is our work at this table. And we need to make sure that we're resourced enough to achieve these numbers.
Can I just add one thing before
Are you done, Amber? Okay.
Paul, can I just add on one thing? to
Yeah,
that?
please.
I mean, to that point, Superintendent Baumann, if there are areas like that, as Director Cameron's saying, where resources need to be reallocated, and I think some of the metrics might kind of prove that up as we get into this a little bit more and show areas that we might need to reallocate resources. But I assume you'd bring that to the board if you need any action from us.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, there'll be plenty of that coming. I think when we started the conversation around this, that was one of the key objectives. The challenge becomes identifying that and then articulating what it is in real terms, which oftentimes is going to boil down to either funding priorities or funding process for the future. So I think that's absolutely true, along with long-range facilities. And so I acknowledge and concur, and we'll be working that.
Director Carbone.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I understand how you develop baselines and metrics for math, science, and reading. I'd like to understand better social, emotional. Oh, am I on?
You're just too far away.
It's hard to hear you.
Sorry. Thank you. I understand metrics and how you measure science, math, reading. I'm not quite sure I understand social emotional learning. I'd like to get a better sense of what we do to measure that. What are the questions? What is it?
That's probably some information that could be sent out.
Yep, I might give Friday
That'd be
notes.
great.
I got both those things. What are the questions? What's the baseline? What do we look like?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe to that, we could review the presentation. There was a whole presentation about this. Like it was over an hour where we went through these types of information. Yeah.
Director Anderson.
I just also want to clarify, this is a living document that we can continue to come back to. I have some thoughts that I certainly want to follow up with Superintendent Baumann on with regard to the idea of looking at access to mental health services. You know, just working in a hospital setting, and mental health access is a big issue, but outcome is also a very important thing to be considering. So I'm curious about kind of the quality of services in terms of evidence-based interventions and what is happening with those services. So that's not something that I've followed up with him on, but would like to just come back as more, to your point, Director Carbone, like what is a way we can look at outcomes in this category, just because we know that mental health is certainly important to a child's academic success. So I think we can certainly dig around in terms of what we can be doing in our schools as a more regular check-in, evaluation point, survey something, as well as with the services we're paying for, what is the outcome there?
There are no further questions or comments. Is there a motion to approve the goals? Director Thompson?
I don't have a motion, but I do have some clarifying questions. There's a few metrics that I see that are not listed on here. I would like to see if how do we want to add these additional metrics, or do we need to vote on it, or do you want me to just kind of share? How do we want to do this?
So these are the district's recommended goals.
Okay.
Right. So if there are additional goals we want to incorporate, or if it's just data that we want to track for our own purposes, then, I mean, that's going to be on the data dashboard if it's one of those 13, whatever number of categories there were.
Let me restate. Let me ask it. Like, when is so the school year has already started, July, August, September. When will we expect to see the first iteration of the QBR?
Well, we have school start in September, not July. So we're in October here. I would November timeframe, maybe early December when we have some data to share and report. Now, obviously, in some other in different categories, we have. Like right now we're talking finance data. Today we talked about the audit. We're going to bring you pretty much every board meeting moving forward talking about finance. So I think November timeframe is our opportunity to do a quarterly type review of the data.
So that makes it. I understand that. I think there's other metrics on here that aren't specific to student engagement and academics, like district human resources, from teacher vacancy total, teacher absenteeism, substitute, the licensed staff retention rates, XYZ. And so as I'm envisioning how these QBRs would go, they would go every quarter, and there may be instances in quarters where there are other metrics that just aren't needed to be updated because there isn't any data to be associated with that. And so while I'm okay, I guess, waiting until November, but then I would view that as part of like Q2 metrics or something of that nature. So somehow we need to incorporate some sort of cadence to these things sooner than later. And then part of that cadence, I'd like to see some sort of dashboard, and I've sent a note to all you guys around with the formatting of what that might look like from my lens. And on top of that, I would love to have an individual slide that would be kind of a companion document that states the intent of the metric, the definition, how you guys got to that formula of that respective metric, so we're all on the same page. It will say in the baseline. The dashboard will have the baseline, and the goals, but also some additional insights and commentary. So every QBR should be attached with a dashboard, along with a slide that has every metric that's associated with it, and then some additional commentary where it makes sense, because we may not be able to go over all of the 20 metrics in every QBR. So that's what I'd like to see in the next iteration.
Well, and I guess the question, because our fiscal year started in July, and that's why you're saying, hey, QBR's the first quarter's done. So the academic year doesn't necessarily line up with our fiscal year.
Oh, agreed.
So we
but
could
then
have
academic
separate,
year would start in Q2 generally, and then we
could
get
have
an
separate
update.
reports for finances and academics.
I don't see them as separate reports. I see them coming forward in those at each quarter.
There just won't be any academic things on the first one.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's how I would interpret that. Unless if you got it in September, you might see the reports from Q2. No, I take that back. Then you would have seen it at the end of fiscal year Q2 for Q3 in that QBR. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brett.
Director Nicholson.
Just, so we got the definitions of all the metrics, I believe, already, right? So we already kind of have that. So you just want that incorporated, like when we send it out, also have like tab 2, hey, this was all the stuff that was agreed upon, what the formula is and that sort of stuff, just for quick reference? Is
I
that
think
what you're
close.
asking for?
I don't think we have the definition. So for example, we've got fast bridge, proficiency, reading, and math. Like the average person isn't going to know what that means. And then the calculation of whatever they're using to get there, they're not going to know. So that's one thing that I'm trying to give me a paragraph of what is this and what is this intended to measure? You're
just saying for public transparency.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Director Cameron.
I'm wondering, in this document or in some document, there's a new column added, Director Thompson, that would just state how often this metric is updated. So is it a quarterly? Is it a annually? Like MCAs are annual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fast Bridge are quarterly. They're 3 times a year. But that way it signals to us, to the public, to the district, how often they'll be updated. And I think expecting though, if they are quarterly, by the end of that quarter. So like December, the end of December would be quarter 2, right?
Yeah, in the executive dashboard that I shared as a sample, I've grayed out the quarters or the sections of when they wouldn't be shared. And so I have it where if it is FastBridge proficiency, it would share in fall, winter, spring. And then, but for those that might be grade point average, that could be Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And so I've got it set up where the white cells are where you would just populate the data, and then where it wouldn't be needed, it would be in the darker cells.
I do think it is good to have transparency, and we don't want to make it so complicated that it's hard to use. So I think there's like a balance here of usability and putting out all the information.
I mean, I think if we can work on, how it looks and what information we're going to put out. I mean, the goal of today is to approve the goals.
Can I make a motion to approve the goals and start the process here?
You can make a motion.
Please.
Go ahead.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion to approve the goals by Director Nicholson, and there's been a second by Director Carbone. Any discussion on the motion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor of approving the goals as set forth by the district at 7A, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? They are approved. We are...
Oh, wait.
Sorry.
With the clarifications that we discussed, that
What's that?
he's going to add. Sorry, now we just approved it, but.
Can you restate that?
7A with the clarifications we discussed.
To add goals to them, or just add them as metrics that we're going to review? I
Add
guess.
those metrics with,
Okay.
baseline and goals, right?
Yeah, I think everybody agreed, right?
Yeah.
We're good. Just
Yeah.
let's do it.
We just don't
and-
have a
Yeah.
goal for it yet, but it'll be a metric
Yeah,
that we track.
but let's start using it and look at it. Like,
Yeah.
I think add it and let's go. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Done. I love it.
All right. With that, we're going to move, I'm going to make a motion to move into closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.05 Subdivision 3B to engage in negotiation discussions. Is there a second?
Second.
Or a second by Director Cameron. All those in favor to move into closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.05 Subdivision 3B to engage in negotiation discussions, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. What's that?